Good afternoon, runners. This is Phantom Arts Entertainment, the Neon Caster Radio, bringing you a smooth collection of lo-fi tabletop RPGs, which I like to call the Record Collection. With me, for this first game, Lo-Fi Cigarettes, I have 4 fantastic guests. We're gonna go in order of who I have in my Twitch stream at the moment. Let's start with the writer of the game himself, Oscor. Hi, hello.
Hello, and thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
So I'm Oz, pronouns he, him. I am the writer of this game. It has not been released yet, but so consider this kind of like a playtest preview, maybe. And yeah, I'm a streamer on Shadowcasters Network, so we do lots of tabletop RPGs there, and lots of other things. So just follow me on Twitter or something, and then you can find.
We're going to do shameless self-promotion at the end of the stream. You can do all the
Exactly.
links. I'm going to link everybody's work because love to promote my friends. We also have a returning player on the Neon Caster who's helped me out with a bunch of RPG tests so far. We have Amy. Hi, hello.
Hello. Glad to be back again.
Good to have you. How you doing? How's your recent tabletop adventures been?
Absolutely insane. I've started DMing my first D&D 5e adventure, actually, Dragon Heist. So that is going absolutely insane. But other than that, always looking for new and interesting things to do with RPGs, and this appears to be one of them.
Part of the reason why I started the channel as a thing is to highlight weird and wonderful indie RPGs. So I'm always blessed to have the opportunity to show off more. The first time appearing on stream, on the Neoncaster stream, I am so honored to announce Joe. Hello, hi.
Hey, glad to be here. So I'm Joe, he, him, and we played RPGs with you, Nathan, before, but this is my first time on a stream. So, glad to be here and excited to try out this new RPG.
Yeah, absolutely. When I started the kind of like Neoncaster Phantom Arts Entertainment like Discord, I kind of approached people who I was already playing tabletop games with and be like, oh my god, you have to join so we can go and do the streams and everything's gonna be so good. And Joe was like, yes, absolutely, but the planets didn't line up just right until now, and I am so happy. Hell yeah. And last, by absolutely no means least, we have the delightful Will Yule joining us on stream once again. Hello.
Howdy, y'all. How's it hanging? I'm Will, they, them pronouns, please, and I'm very excited to be sad in the future.
Yes. Love to explore like sociopolitics in the tabletop RPG that stray amusingly, dangerously close to our own as a way of maybe catharsis, especially under current circumstances, I suppose.
Yeah, no kidding.
But you make tons of delightful RPG stuff, tell me.
Yes, that's true. I'm a tabletop RPG developer myself, and I actually just released 2 new games a day or 2 ago, and one of them, Underground Broadcast, will be later on the Phantom Arts Entertainment Record Collection. So stay tuned, viewers, for more than 48 hours straight.
Yeah, that one I think is going live at 4 p.m. EDT, 9 p.m. BST on Sunday. I'm good at time zones now. So look forward to some Jet Set Radio themed action tomorrow. But later on today as well, we have a second game on today. We will be playing an RPG that I wrote, Wandering Spark, with Will and special guest Wheels, who also appears on Very Random Encounter alongside Greg and Logan, who I have played tabletop with before, and they're delightful. I need to get them on this stream as well, actually. Ooh, it'd be so good. But who am I? You might be wondering, who's this devilish gentleman in the top left? I am the androgynous android game show host from the future, Nathan Blades. It is a pleasure to meet you. I am the one who runs this channel. I DM a bunch of things, I write some other things. I am in general a loud, obnoxious queer. It is a pleasure to meet you. I don't know. I never know how to introduce myself on these things. I guess more than anything else, thank y'all for coming out and supporting some queer black art at the moment. I genuinely really appreciate that. The record collection was something that I really wanted to do because my friends were making really cool lo-fi RPGs, and I'm like, I've also made a cool lo-fi RPG. There's got to be some way that we can get them like together, right? And so this was all arranged. And then current circumstances happened. So this is technically not a charity stream, but everybody kind of coming out here and supporting black artists is part of the message. I try to spread a message of resistance and joy in the art that I create, and I'm glad that y'all both playing with me and listening to this are willing to be a part of that. But if you would, if this is inspiring you to donate to some very good causes, there is a very good URL link, blacklivesmatters.card.co, which I am currently posting in the Twitch doobly-doo, that you can go to, that has a nice long list of all sorts of relevant activist and minority rights charities that you can donate to.
And that is card with 2 R's in case you're not looking at chat.
Mm-hmm. Okay, with that out of the way, let's go and discuss some lo-fi cigarettes. So, Oz, would you mind giving the top line of what lo-fi cigarettes is about?
Sure. We are all roommates in a crappy rented apartment in a technologically advanced future city, and we're all down on our luck. We're deep in debt. We're depressed, and we have nothing to combat the predatory technologically advanced future city. And we're all down on our. We open basically on our apartment. It's late night, it's raining, and we're each hankering for a cigarette by the window or the balcony ledge that looks out over the city around you, beneath you, and over you. Mm-hmm. So the object of this game is literally just to collaboratively create a poignant and evocative and meaningful window into the lives of our characters. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Yeah.
The way that I like to put it is, to win this game, if you find yourself looking back on this experience fondly, then you win.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. The PDF that is currently secret but will be available at some point in the future has a really good step-by-step guide of how to generate our characters in the world that we'll be going through. Currently, the tablet that I use for tabletop RPGs has decided to do a firmware update, so I am just going to leave that to... I love this. I switched from OBS to Streamlabs for a smoother streaming experience, and that was smoother. This has been perfect so far, and it's an entirely separate piece of technology that's decided to be rude, of course. But while I'm waiting for my tablet to go and set itself up, let's go and put on some light rain effects, because of course, and switch jams. Let's go for this. Hopefully that will load for everybody. There we go. Both the previous jam and this one is from a video game called Coffee Talk, which is kind of like Valhalla Cyberpunk bartending simulator, but urban fantasy instead. And all of it is kind of going lo-fi chill grooves to the soundtrack. It's like, perfect for this weekend. Thank you. I'm blessed. I might just have to go and... do any of you happen to have the PDF handy on your end of things?
Yes.
Yep.
Would one of you like to take the lead in terms of going through the process of character generation while my technology decides to unfuck itself?
Then how about the creator of the game?
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. I was going to say, I might as well try. All right. So first, we're going to set up our characters. So unlike most games where you kind of collaboratively build the world, the concept of this is we set up our characters and then build the world around them and what is keeping them down. So basically think of it as kind of like starting small and then working outwards. So first, we're going to establish who our characters are. So you're free to create any kind of person that you want, whether it's, and you're not limited to human adult. So you could be, robot, alien, fantasy race, anthropomorphic animal, whatever you would like, even an AI, if you would so choose. And basically, as long as you can be depressed and want to smoke a cigarette, or even if it's like a fake cigarette or whatever, you are, it's fair game.
I have a lollipop handy for the cigarette smoking.
Same. Yeah, I found a piece of chalk. So, so let's start with, how do you scrape by? So you're going to select one or two ways that that your character tries to earn money. So let's, based on, we have like a cloud of ideas, so like activism, actor, artist, band, cam shows, etc. And then just specify it in a sentence or a few. So like what specifically it is that you do, who pays for you, why it's not going well for you and others like you, and why you suspect it's rigged against you, and how it all makes you feel. And then, of course, considering all of that, incorporate futuristic sci-fi technologies, and also you can incorporate current day social and economic issues, but like just ramp them up to like 11, because this is a society that has unrestrained greed.
Yes.
And profits at your losses.
I'm having a hard time imagining this. This is
so abstract, I know.
I know.
Actually, this is probably a good time to have a brief discussion about kind of lines and veils and X cards and similar. Under other circumstances, I would be using the Brebo-Sheldon script change system that uses stuff like play and pause and rewind to kind of discuss the nature of pausing and moving around. I don't quite have the screen real estate for that with webcam setups, so we'll be going with a kind of like X card system for this instead. I think all of us on stream might be familiar with the X card system already. But for those who are tuned in and might not be, the X card system is just a really simple way of highlighting when the game needs to be paused and moved around a topic that somebody might feel uncomfortable or not want to discuss. Within Lo-Fi Cigarettes itself, there's actually a line drawn between speaking in character and speaking out of character, which lends itself to X carding quite well, because you can just highlight that you're speaking out of character and you'd like to take a pause on what scene we're currently in. For us, practically, you can either kind of do an X with your hands on webcam, or hold up a card with an X on it. If you type in an X into the chat in Roll20 itself, I will see that because I'm keeping an eye on my kind of stream layout, so I will see that somebody wants to go and take a pause that way as well. If anybody wants to pause for whatever reason, that's absolutely fine. Moving away from the game is actually also part of Lo-Fi Cigarettes, so if you feel that you need to take a break, please do so. In terms of lines and veils, so stuff that might happen off camera and stuff that we won't discuss at all, I'm generally pretty easy about these bits and pieces. I am not so up for doing a narrative about specifically black suffering today for reasons, but general kind of like, systemic problems existing in the world we're in, I am more than happy to explore. Does anybody have any lines or veils they would like to raise?
I think not that I would really expect this to go here, but I'd rather not go into sexual violence or... I think when it comes to bad things happening to helpless children, I think that would probably be in the veil category, where it's like, if it's being distantly, briefly alluded to, I'm okay with that, but, rather not, really just dive right into that sucker. Yeah.
Absolutely. No problem. Any more for any more? Oh, so go ahead.
Oh, no. Those are, generally my lines and veils as well. If anything comes up, I'll obviously make use of the X card, but other than that, nothing besides the standard stuff.
Cool.
Yep. Also agreed with that.
Right. Sorry to interrupt you, Oz. Feel free to kind of continue
Absolutely.
About our job and our hyper escalating the why the job is shitty.
Yes. So So yeah, let's figure out like what is speaking to you right now, and then we can like you don't have to have a fully fleshed out idea just right away, but you know just what's speaking to you, and then like we'll start sharing and figuring out where it is that we kind of like fit in to and how the world is screwing us. Okay.
Absolutely.
Just to check, we don't all have the same job, right? Or necessarily.
We could be coworkers as well. Like we could go and work together. It's totally up to you. And also you're not limited to this cloud. Like if you're creative, you think of something that's outside of it, absolutely throw it in.
In looking at the kind of like service part on this cloud, one of the words on it, and I was like, I think my character works at a restaurant, but I'm not quite sure what particular role. I'm either like chef or maybe like house pianist. I'm wondering which one of those two is around.
Why not both?
Ooh. What do you mean I have to cook and then also play piano?
Ovens in the future are very whimsical.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. Go ahead.
I like the idea of like an academic, like a college or university level, like academic professor, who's struggling a bit with some of their current projects and the general like environment of academia.
The research topic that you're looking into at the moment is very important, but the right people don't seem to think so.
Yeah, exactly. Like funding and general interest in subject. I imagine they teach like a class, but there might not be as much interest there as they wants there to be.
Yeah. I'm writing this down in meat space on pen and paper. But if somebody wouldn't mind one of you being kind of like a scribe in the Discord, so just kind of like typing up ideas as we go in case anything gets lost, that would be a great help.
So I've also got an idea of what character I might want to go for. I'm tempted to also go for education, but like lower level, like middle school or high school kind of teacher.
Oh, that's cute. I like that.
Tough stuff, though.
Oh god, being a teacher's so hard.
So it's like, it's just sort of inspired. Like my mother is a teacher for like in a tough school, so she always has all these stories of what trouble goes around with her students and with other teachers there. So, place to draw inspiration.
I'm into that.
So, let me know if I'm hopping ahead too much, but I was thinking, going through my head, like, okay, so we can play as humans, robots, etc. The idea of playing as a robot who is working as a data processor, kind of similar to how back before like electronic computers were a thing, that like computer was just a role that people did. The idea of a robot whose job is to basically, maybe get a jack put in the back of your head and you're just doing data, hardcore data processing for a while.
A living server.
Pretty much.
Nice. I'm thinking of going for something with maybe something more of like a. I don't know if I want to go down like brawling kind of in Crime Syndicate goon, but yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking maybe like a driver. I'm kind of feeling the driver route right now. I'm just gonna go with that. Nice. I'm thinking, yeah, taxi driver or delivery driver or something. Just yeah.
When in the lead up to this, and I was kind of thinking about, okay, what kind of inspirations are they taking from? And I'm like, yes, Parasite. That is a very good. Well, and driver did kind of cross my mind, so I'm glad that somebody's being a driver. That's awesome.
Yeah, and I might but at the same time, I might combo that with like Crime Syndicate goon or petty crime, or just like I'm involved in something shady, maybe off to the side just to like make ends meet. So yeah, I think Crime Syndicate could. No, what? Oh yeah.
Every so often you're asked to drive for a particular guest and you're like, okay, I'm going to drive this one very carefully. Nice. My tablet's working again. Excellent. So I can keep up with where we are. Cool. So do we want to kind of like narrow down those ideas into what specific role you're doing within? I think most of you have managed to. The high school teacher is pretty there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go.
But also like.
Mm-hmm.
So also taking inspiration from like my mother, it'd be like a special education teacher. So someone who'd be like following students around class to class for special support.
Nice. I think I am going to go with the in-house pianist for my restaurant gig.
Taking inspiration from part of my actual job, I think it's probably going to be processing things for the marketing department for some crappy business, needing to set up, spam emails and a lot of things that's like, this isn't going to make anyone happy, but I've got to do this anyway.
Why did they give you the ability to discern good adverts from bad ones when they don't actually care? Absolutely.
Someone's bright spark idea. I think taking from my own academia, probably a philosophy professor, because I'm a philosopher by trade, technically.
Oh yeah, give me some high concepts to chew on and be sad about. Yes. Let's get existential.
Yeah, so what I was going to say is to go a layer deeper. Now I want to start thinking about why do we suspect that it's rigged against us? Like, why aren't we making the money to make rent? Why? Yeah.
I think in my case, and it might be similar for the middle school teacher as well, is like lack of funding, like it's not being put in the right places. I imagine specifically in my example, because it's a college/university, like they've put all the good resources into the robotics department and all like the technical stuff, and so a lot of like the arts and humanities have been sort of waylaid, and they're paid lip service on the odd occasion, but they actually don't have the financial backing. And so part of that is like, I'm paid relatively little for the hours I actually put into my job.
God, that's real as hell.
Hey.
Yeah, we're already in the vibe of it. Would that be a similar circumstance for the high school teacher?
I'm thinking of something similar, but instead of being versus like robotics and philosophy, it would be public-private. So I'm in a public school, and there's been progressively less funds. So everything being cut to the bone.
Absolutely. There is a private school not even like a couple blocks from where you currently work, and it is so clean and so shiny and incredibly high security, which doesn't necessarily do well for anybody's morale, but it looks impressive.
Yeah, what I'm getting a vibe of just already is the concept of funding is being put towards whatever looks the best, whatever's glossy, whatever advances, but then it's just completely negating anything human needs related.
It's funny you mention that, because I was thinking, yeah, I feel like the marketing department is probably way more plush than, wherever I'm placed, despite the fact that they're way less focused on actually advertising to people than they are on convincing advertisers that we have a lot of viewers. Like I'm thinking of, aside from my own workplace, thinking of the whole Facebook scandal where it turned out that they were saying that like they were multiplying the viewer count on all videos by like 10 or something absurd like that. It's the same thing, so they can sell more to advertisers without be good.
Oh yeah. What is kind of immediately coming to my mind is that with this kind of like a kind of sub theme of robotics doing specific jobs and how that interacts with kind of like humanity subjects. This is probably the gimmick of this restaurant, is that they have stuff like live musicians and human chefs, which is supposed to be sold as a kind of like artisanal creative touch, but actually everybody has to operate within hyper strict guidelines in terms of what they can do in terms of the food that they make or the music that's played. It's my job to play pretty much perfect recreations of AI written top 40s bullshit on piano.
Aww.
Like, why did they even get a human to do this job? that kind of energy, I think, is a thing I find amusing and also sad in equal measures.
Yeah, let's see. So driver. So first off, there would definitely be like automated cars, right? So then the fact that I'm a human driving a car probably also makes it easy for crime syndicates to be like, hey, special delivery, wink, wink. But also I think of various conversations I've had with drivers from like Uber or something, where it's like they're not really being compensated properly. A lot of their funds really go towards just like upkeeping their car, gas and cleaning and etc. But then I can't imagine it's particularly lucrative. So being able to like being tapped on the shoulder to do these deliveries is really the only thing that's keeping me relatively afloat, enough to do a more luxury personalized. I don't know, should it be like a luxury personalized, or do you think people would actually care about a human driver?
I think some people would. If
I
we're
think
going for like a technological society kind of dealio, like the thing of having a conversation with a stranger might be something that's essentially commodified.
Ooh, actually, I just thought of something. The I might drive around like senior citizens and stuff, like people that actually need like things put into the trunk of the car, like carried in and out or something. So maybe that's like what my service is on paper, but then to really make ends meet,
We got to do the bigger, dangerous jobs with driving around. Absolutely.
So I see that it's going to be like you don't make enough money because you have to compete with the robots. But of course, not having every motion tracked in a computer is a selling point for those special jobs.
Exactly.
Nice. Who pays for you, I think, is the next thing on the list to kind of discuss. Or why it's not. We've got the kind of why it's not going well. But I guess this is kind of setting up personal antagonists, or the people who are actively making our lives harder. Is there a professor in robotics at your university, Amy, who is like your personal?
Nathan, apparently your mic is very low versus everyone else.
Oh, my mic is low. I am also leaning away a little bit. I will increase my gain just a touch. Please let me know if this is any better, everybody. Thank you very much. I will also tweak everybody else's in my ears volume, so I don't deafen myself in the balance of it. Thank you for pointing that out, by the way.
Thank you.
You're gonna go and see.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of like who pays for my character, I say like maybe the head of department kind of dealio. I think there's perhaps. I like the idea that the antagonism doesn't come from the robotics professors. They're relatively okay, and that's kind of annoying because you can't hate them as people. It's just the fact that they have such better and easier lives than you. It's like, grass is greener on the other side. And I think she's frustrated about that constant juxtaposition of like, you make my life more difficult, you should be an antagonist, but they're not as antagonistic as you would want them to be.
Let's turn Amy's mic back up a little bit. There we go. I get that. The idea of like, I want to hate you, but I can't, is definitely big working in an office energy. Is the Is the kind of like person who's actually doling out the funding relatively faceless then? Do you not interact with them particularly often?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of like bureaucracy in the sense of like you know sort of like the vague department they're in, but you don't know the actual person because it's not office suitable for you to know that person and therefore try to influence them when it's obvious that those who do know that person are obviously influencing them anyway. So it's just a whole like battle of office politics there.
No, absolutely. God, what a job to come home from. Does anybody else have an antagonist, physical or metaphorical, in mind?
I've got an idea. So I'd say at this point, to determine the best allocation of funds, it is done entirely via an AI that sort of determines using stuff like standardized test scores and like demographic information to figure out who gets paid how much and how much gets spent on each bit. And this is presented out via a virtual manager, like sort of like a virtual pop star kind of thing. So it's just like a 3D render that like is always cheerful, announcing whenever there's budget cuts or whenever there's new standards or
Hatsune Miku controls your payment.
Kazuna AI says you're fired. Yeah.
What would be like the best boss? Like if you want to be like, we gotta put a guy who they could trust in, but also 3D rendered.
Yeah, big psychopaths vibes from that kind of system. Absolutely. I guess that means your school has no HR department.
There's an HR department somewhere. Shared resources.
Yeah, how metaphorical do we want to get with these, or amorphous maybe? Because I was thinking, just the concept of replaceability being something that is really keeping my character feeling kind of trapped. The feeling of, not just I can't quit and then go find another job because they're going to fill that position super easily. But also I can't really, if I try to bargain for a better wage, then they could very easily just go, okay, get the next model in.
When you're built for a hyper-specific job, what other job can you do if you stop working?
God, I'm really wondering if they are built for a hyper-specific job, or if this is just like
a thing they've modded themselves to be able to do, just so they can.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if it's complex or if this is more kind of like factory work where it's like we need some able bodies in here to just do this stuff. But instead of it being about, physical muscles, it's about processing power.
Oh, the antagonist is being replaced. We're already getting existential. Love it. Oz?
I really dig this idea, though, of the meritocracy AI / funding, thing. I imagine that, so it seems to me, especially because we have a robot character who, can get paid wages, that that we definitely put AI on a pedestal, and we at the very least acknowledge them as sentient and like they know, what's good for us as well, right? Like they're on our side, etc. But then we also have the issue of who controls the programming of these funding AIs, right? And really it's the people that are in power that want like the glitz and the glam, etc. And like, how do we fund, the next, beautiful building or whatever, or the next, luxe event, and it comes at the expense of everyone else. And I imagine a lot of companies also, aside from universities, the companies such as like the one that my driving company goes through also functions that way.
Something that just occurred to me. Oh no, it just totally poofed from my brain in the 10 seconds. Very sad. Yeah, no, come back to me.
It's all good.
gaming.
Oh no, it's with discussion stuff. When you get all this information in, you're like, okay, where was I with the thing? But yeah, no, this seems we all have a menacing presence. That's good to have. You know, a little bit of fear keeps you motivated, as a capitalist might say.
That's right. I just remembered the idea of. I'd imagine this is like very specific, so this could even just be like a tiny bit of world building, but the idea that some of the meritocracy AI is also designed to like randomly dole out a little bit of resources to those who aren't necessarily well off, under the idea that, you know, okay, this is going to be more equitable this way, but now corporate RNG manipulation is a legitimate department, just to try to siphon off as many funds as possible.
Oh, I realized I didn't actually talk about an antagonist that my character might have. I think leaning into this meritocracy AI thing, and that's something that's pestered all of us in certain ways, is a thing that's worth exploring. The idea that this restaurant's manager is actually not meat space based at all. So the whole idea, I like the reversal of fortune, where in our current real world circumstance, a restaurant run by AI would be like a novel selling point, but in this particular future it's flipped. So ones that have human wait staff is now a novelty, and I just like the idea of this big chunky cigar smoking AI manager being like, we'll get the humans in, it's cute.
For sure. All right, so I think we have a lot of good ideas here to just start moving forward. All right, so the next segment is going to be devalue yourself. So now we're going to talk about how did we screw up. So we're going to select one way that we screwed up in the past that still haunts us to this day, and then we're going to select one way that we screwed up very recently, and then we're going to specify each one in a sentence or a few.
So I have an idea for this, and it's definitely kind of grim. I think, I'm not sure whether it was at this job or at a previous job, but basically some random cost occurred. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if this was a situation where the amount of money that I'm making is enough to make rent and utilities and whatnot, but there's not really any kinds of like cushion or extra savings on that. And so something bad happened. My character needed to push themselves really hard for a while, and they had a battery fault, which I don't know if any of you have played a like Game Boy game so long that the internal battery dies.
Oh yes.
So basically, they worked so hard that they just ended up inadvertently wiping all of their memories, and so they have had to kind of reconstruct what they can from what other people have told them and, you know, what they have around. But there was
a previous you that you're still trying to catch back up with.
Exactly.
Yeah. I having skipped ahead and looked at some of the other things that we need to fill in to get in the loop of this. I think in the past, the character was a trained musician, but for a period of time, getting work as a musician is hard under this kind of circumstance. So they were like, oh, I guess I'm going to take like data entry as a job, because that's relatively easy to do and there's lots of people that need to do it. And over time, just having done that job for so long without any knowing how to take care of themselves properly, they gave themselves really bad RSI. So for a while, their hands were just fucked, making playing an instrument impossible. And they've had to, since then, go through a degree of cybernetic replacement to get their hands functional again to do their job. But yeah, there was a long period where they, in desperation of having to earn money, they didn't look after their own health either, and have managed to ruin their hands and have been continuing to pay for that ever since.
So you're just deeper in debt as a result of trying not be in debt.
Yep.
Oof.
Yes, indeed, that is very real. I think the longer term thing that's affecting my character is there's one here. It's like caught in the system, and now you see there's no way out. And I like the idea that she came out of her, I guess, PhD or master's, whichever level, and was so eager to get into the world to help people and to do that sort of thing, and she got stuck in this long cycle of just rejection and demeanment of her choices and what she chose to do, to the point that she internalized it. And then she went into academia because that's where she felt the only place she could go was there. But she now sees it as like she is now part of the problem. She's fulfilling that cycle of other people going through exactly what she did.
Oh, you've become the monster. Oh no.
Yeah. I think that's like a longer term thing. I think recently, because there's another one, it's like threw something away or left something behind that you now wish you'd kept. And I like the idea that maybe she had a long-term, not romantic partner, but like a good friend that she'd had for many years. And recently they've moved away to, greener avenues in perhaps another country or another location where she can't reach them as easily. And maybe they left something behind for her, like a memento of their friendship. And she chose to throw it away because she was angry at the time that this person had left her.
Oh, that stings, yo.
So I think that's the that's the D values there.
Hell yeah. Joe?
So I think I'm going to go with bit the hand that feeds and they're retaliating ruthlessly. As in, I spoke out against perceived waste in the school and got been marked as like a troublemaker. As in, like, a lot of these teachers, they after being on for a while, they can often get job offers from say the private school. Suddenly where they get a little bit more and get better students. But it's I tried to do something claiming that okay, this isn't working. The kids aren't getting the funds that they needed, and then I found out that a whole bunch of my requests were being turned down, and I can't argue with it. It's the AI. It's it's infallible, but
oh man, yeah. If everybody around you is getting headhunted and moved on to other things, and you're being forcibly held back, I guess, are the other teachers contributing to the myth of being a troublemaker?
It's more like the other teachers, either they don't care about their job and they're staying here, or they care about it a lot and they're being headhunted away. So they sort of know that oh yeah, that person there, they're a lifer kind of person.
Have you are you like one of the longest termed at this school?
You know what? Yeah, I think that would be good for it. So yeah, I'm one of the longest termed at the school. There are some other people who are just longer than me, but yeah, those are the classes where the students know it's an easy A.
Plus, they managed to actually find a teacher that could teach Latin, and they're not going to find another one, so they're keeping them. Will no, you burnt out your battery in the long term. Oz, is there any
Definitely, I'm thinking for current issue. I lost my place. Where was it? It was I can't get rid of something incriminating without getting caught, and it's only a matter of time. That's definitely my so definitely I guess maybe I have a I'm willing to take any ideas on what that shipment could be. I mean, it could be drugs or a body part or I don't know what, but I have something that I had to deliver, then it got, I guess,
Like you got to the spot and the target wasn't there, and you can't wait.
Exactly, yeah. And like the cops showed up and I was able to get away, but probably somebody spotted my license plate. So like right now I'm just like in an agitated state of like
getting rid of it.
Maybe they saw my plate, maybe they didn't. I have no idea. So I don't want to necessarily say like law will come for me, but I don't know if they will. So I'm in this like,
what is this contraband? It'd be.
This could tie into one of the big world building problems.
Yeah. I have some contraband, basically.
Yeah.
What if? I'm thinking about. Oh man. I'm thinking about our, meritocratic managerial AI, and I'm wondering if this is maybe some kind of, leaning into the futuristic element, that this is some kind of device that can basically manipulate a lot of the maybe not manipulate the RNG, but manipulate a lot of the parameters around you to basically falsely boost that. Actually, maybe it's not the managerial AI, maybe it's a similar AI that's working for something like maybe now cops, instead of scanning cars with their eyes, are using some kind of drone or something like that. Just that idea of this is a device that is going to tweak all of the parameters to let you slide under the radar or excel much in the same way that.
I like the idea that maybe it's also like the term in my head is sympathetic data core. Where the idea, because obviously we've got this like meritocratic system, like maybe this is a glitched data core of some kind that if it were to replace a normal data core would effectively it would be much more beneficial for the little guy, but it wouldn't be as beneficial for like the profiteers. So it's like considered this black market item.
Okay, I can work with this because I like the idea for sure that there's some kind of, whatever it is, there's programming in it that is specifically meant to disrupt the meritocratic AI. So whether it's like anarchists or the crime syndicate that wants to like utilize it to like better fund themselves and the people under their protection, I could see that, right? But of course, now I'm thinking that maybe the cops saw me, but definitely the crime syndicate wants.
They want it back. Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know what to do with it.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, I need to think of a recent way that I've fucked up. I've been playing a lot of Yakuza 0 recently. I was supposed to have a trip to Japan, and then COVID happened, so I decided to go run around fake Japan instead. One of the characters runs a large cabaret club and has a policy of very specifically not harming any guests, even the ones that are like violent and aggressive towards him. But my character is under no such bounds. Somebody kicked off in this restaurant, and my character beat him up pretty badly before throwing them out, which was technically the right thing to do, but in immediate terms, you're not supposed to hit like members of the public that come in and pay for our food. What do you think you're doing? Do you want to keep this job? that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think my character is kind of the opposite of that, where in a roundabout way. So hitting a point where thinking, man, they don't really care about actually making anything where like the code is, tight and crisp and it's going to run well and be compatible and all this, or any of that. They just want something that is going to be fast, and I just got to churn the stuff out. I think my character's been getting, I don't know if I'd say complacent or lazy, but has really been letting a lot of things slide that before they would try and be spending the time and effort to fix, just because a feeling of like, I can't I can't do this. I don't even think they care.
Mm.
And then found out, like, a couple months later, which is, very recently, oh, they do care. They've been noticing that I've been doing a kind of bad job, and they didn't say you're on the ropes, but boy, it feels that way.
Ooh. Cool. Yeah.
So if we're talking for the more recent thing I want to put out, I think that say that a student I know was arrested.
Ooh.
So just like they're like barely out of high school, caught up in something wrong, and saw it on the news, and it's bumming me out.
Yeah. No, they don't need to be caught up in that kind of system. Yeah, absolutely. All right. I think that's everybody.
I'm missing my past.
Short term. Oh, right, the long term one.
My long term screw up. I think I don't know why this just like came to me. The saddled with the debt you weren't expecting and can't possibly pay. What if I through the RNG of meritocracy, right? They were like, congratulations, you get a car. And then I got taxed the hell out of getting this car. And now I can't pay for this car. And then that's why I even chose to become a driver in the first place. And then found myself in this is where I can't possibly pay this plus my rent.
Oh no.
Nice.
Oh man.
Even the lucky ones go through despair. Oh no.
Yeah, no, I'm loving the cruel irony that we're working with here. Shall we move on to the box yourself and brand yourself sections yet, where we kind of get our name and shape down?
Let's do.
Fine with that.
Yeah.
So the box yourself section is going to be, starting to discuss name, species, gender pronouns, and then just, describe yourself physically, emotionally, and your personality at your best and at your worst.
My characters. Also, go ahead. Yeah, you first.
Okay. I think for name, I'm just going to pick. This is kind of bizarre, but I feel like probably because of when the battery fault happened, they were probably not in a place where they were connected with a lot of people just because they were grinding so hard. I think they might not actually know what their original name is, so they're just going with the last two numbers of their serial number. So we'll say 17. Species, robot, and gender pronouns are they, them.
When you say robot, by the way, are you like an android in that you look relatively humanoid shaped, or are you more abstract in terms of build?
I like android, having it be relatively humanoid. I think it's certainly not. It is human-shaped. For some reason, the two robots that are coming to mind, though I don't really want 17 to be quite as bulky or, militarized as these, but are the mech troopers from XCOM and whatever the name of Samuel something from Doom. But that idea of, bipedal, 2 legs, 2 arms, head is... maybe doesn't even have a normal face, but head is definitely where the central processing is. But things can get weird from there.
Cool. I think this rough and tumble pianist is called Alexander, with an O.
Alexander.
I'm boring, and I'm just gonna go with a regular human man. With he/him pronouns.
I like the idea that I'm also going to go bog standard human, adult female, probably in her later 30s. And she/her pronouns, and probably the name Teresa Blackwell, though she likes to be called Terry by literally everyone. She doesn't even like being called like Miss Blackwell or whatever in her classes.
Terry, got it.
Nice.
I'm sort of tempted to go off human, but that would be a big world building decision.
That's fine. It's all good. It's all good.
But then what else would there be if we've got humans, robots, some kind of alien?
Aliens, ghosts.
Alien, anthropomorphic. You want to go
Androids.
yeah.
The rat people who were under the city all along.
3 humans and a yokai.
I think at this point I'm probably just going to stick with human because
Oh boy, I'm special.
haven't thought of a name. Let's see. But if you can go while I'm thinking.
Sure.
I think I'm gonna go she, her. I want to play female for this one, and I think maybe yeah, I'll stick with human as well. I'm kind of tempted to play an anthropomorphic animal, but I think I'll just go.
Go with your heart desires.
Unleash the
Right.
beast.
Do it.
Yeah, screw it. Yeah, I'm gonna do. She's an anthropomorphic cheetah.
Oh, nice. The last surviving cheetah girl.
Yeah.
Marks going down the face.
Yeah. And yeah, let's see. Lexi was the first name that just came to my head. I'm gonna go with Lexi.
Nice. Oh, I can actually start adding all this to the Twitch layout because we have names now. Hell yeah. Let's see if I can get Streamlabs to cooperate with me. Hold on. Yeah.
I do like the idea of needing to introduce a world-building X card that no, this is not Zootopia. We nobody needs each other.
There's literally no rhyme or like anthropomorphic animals exist in this world. Whatever, screw it. And she I imagine her as kind of like a lanky, tall, 6'5", kind of, really like defined, refined kind of face. Cheetah print everywhere, so like her. Need to make sure she wears like probably like more not neutral colors but just like solid colors. Probably Dayglow though. Dayglow colors for sure. I could see solid Dayglow clothing, and personality to her best and at her worst. I think she is a very I think she's quick thinking, perceptive, and also caring. I mean, if she helps people, unload and load bags, right? Quick thinking, perceptive, and caring. And at her worst, probably also quick to anger. And I think also like after having worked so long in this kind of like illegal stuff, probably also like she can't really shake that feeling of being watched or like something looming over her, right? So I guess she's very paranoid or second guessing. I don't use the word paranoid. Just she's mistrusting. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, Amy, is Terry spelt with R-Y at the end?
No, so I've changed it in Roll20, so it's T-E-R-I.
Thank you. Sorry, I was looking at that
No,
stream.
it's alright. I noticed that'd be that confusion.
Oh yes, Joe's character does not have a name just yet. Okay.
I'm gonna go with James Ortiz.
Mm-hmm. He, him.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. There we go.
Let's see. I think I already described 17 physically. They definitely... I think they're exactly 6 feet tall.
Mm-hmm.
No visible facial expressions, just like a solid faceplate.
Mm-hmm.
So body language has to come from other places. Emotionally,
Nah, too sad.
We ain't there just yet.
Yeah, there we go. Will do.
17. Oh, I shouldn't have opened my mouth before I thought about 17 emotionally. Okay, we'll loop back to me then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll give you some time to figure that out.
Nice, thank you.
I think Terry, like she's what you would consider an attractive woman in a sense, like, you know, shoulder length, black hair, but sort of tied up usually, somewhat sloppily. So it's like, you know, bit of the general like stress professor kind of look going on there. I think she's got like, she sort of switches between contact lenses and glasses because she does need them to see, but she sometimes refuses to just wear either and just decides to walk around blind because it means she can be a little shit about certain things. And I think emotionally she's in that weird in-between space where she's somewhat like haggard and a little bit what's the word? I can't think of the word. That's really annoying. Skeptical about things, but she still believes in people specifically. And I think she demarcates that as like humans specifically. Most of the time, she does have a little bit of that background there. I think she's just trying to find out how to deal with her own emotions. And she's like going through that sort of space, and she's like confused, I think, in a lot of ways.
Okay. What kind of person is Alexander? Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Oh, have you got to where you were thinking about?
Yeah. So I think 17 is kind of impatient. I would say similar to Terry. Like, I like the description haggard, though I feel like this is a kind of very weary, kind of given up kind of thing, where I think like at best not fazed by bad news, just kind of like, well, all right, and has a good amount of emotional bandwidth there, but at their worst, they can be very pessimistic and self-defeating.
Okay. Yeah, I think Alexander is at their best somebody who's quite detail-oriented and careful. They are quite physically imposing. I think they tend to occasionally get a bad rap as somebody who's framed as scary, even though they're not, just because they're quite physically well built. But when it comes to detailed tasks, can be quite gentle. However, I think over the course of doing this job and just general instances of life wearing down at them, they can be kind of like reckless. If they lose their temper, they can make very reckless decisions, like how they attacked an aggressive member of the restaurant. Was definitely Alexander at his worst.
So for James, I'm going to say that at his best, he's optimistic and passionate and genuinely wants the best for his students. But at his worst, he can be a little bit impulsive and naive, as in speaking up to the wrong kind of person, which got him into his trouble he's in. But also, like, the idea, like, okay, like, we can solve this, within the system kind of thing.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. That's all of us. We're almost working our way through. I am also being slightly cognizant of time because I know that Amy, you need to go at 9. A little bit before 9.
Yeah, just a bit before 9. Yeah.
So I won't rush people necessarily, but we can probably in the next maybe half an hour or so, by the time we get to about 1:45, we can kind of maybe move on to play just a little bit. Although I am very much enjoying the chill vibe as we build everybody, branding ourselves. So the stuff.
I think just to kind of be cognizant of time, brand yourself can be one of those that we can not necessarily skip over, but just kind of, we don't have to do all
run in the
of
background.
These things. Yeah. But it could be something just for us to think about. If we have something that just pops in our head right away, like, this is important to my character, then let's discuss it. But we don't have to like specifically each have one of these.
Yeah, that covers like items and personal effects that we might be emotionally attached to, or we've bought and are kind of fucking us over. I think stuff like the cybernetics in Alexander's hands, Lexi's car are probably within the realms of those, and we've discussed those a little bit already. How do we feel about our roommates, I guess, is the big important part of the charge end that we can do, which can be something that we can randomize, or it's something that we can kind of pick from the list. I think Ozzy said something about in the nature where we have like more than 4 players forming relationships with 2 to 3 people, but not everybody, and then letting the other relationships work through as we go.
Yes.
So does anybody want to randomly select their relationships or not?
Oh, sure, I'll randomly select some relationships.
So yeah, I guess pick one of us and then roll 1d6 and roll 20.
Oh, okay. I can do it in roll 22. Let's see.
Yeah. It's the same dice math as the dice bot that we use in Discord, so /r.
Okay, let's see how I feel about Terry. Surely it will only be positive. 4 is guilt. Oh no. Oh yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
I can definitely see
You feel like you've been a burden on this person who has showed you kindness. See if you can refuse any help this person has to offer, even if it isn't as smart or nice to do so.
How could that be?
How much do we want to explore that now versus in play?
I think maybe explore in play sounds like a as an improvisational thing, because ironically, for the same character, because I'm ascribing mine based on just what I think she'd do. I've put 6 avoidant. You've had an awkward experience with this person, and because of it, you can barely look at them in the face. See if you can overcome this unbearable rift between you, even though you refuse to address it.
Who are you forging that with?
With 17.
So
I like the idea that, like, maybe there's a somewhat like of a kind relationship, but there's something weird there.
I like that, yeah. I definitely, you did something to help me in the past that you kind of regret doing, or like felt and actively feel uncomfortable about it.
Yeah.
That sucks.
I've also ascribed to James 5, which is supportive, because it makes sense considering we're in a similar profession. You are protective of this person because you pity them. See if you can get them to believe in themselves, even if you don't believe what you think they want to hear.
Nice.
I think I'm going to select one and randomize one. So I want to see how I feel about James. Avoidant as well. So for some reason, I'm avoiding James. I don't know. I guess I wonder if the person that I beat up is affiliated to James's school in some way. That would be an unfortunate thing.
That's a
what
good
if
one.
that kid who was arrested
Oh!
was tied to the organization?
Oh man.
Oh no!
Like I don't know. The police don't know.
I don't think I want
You know.
Alexander to punch a teen. I don't think I could do that.
You didn't. It's not that you punched him. Maybe you just gave him a ride night before.
Or I like the idea that maybe like it started with what you did, and then he went on to do something that did get him arrested. So you're like only tangentially involved.
I threw him out of the restaurant, and that required
Yeah.
physical contact, which is verboten. But beyond that, it's yeah. They were put out and did something else after I kicked them out of the restaurant. Okay, sure.
Although now that you mentioned that, I find that interesting because if this kid was maybe involved in the creation of the contraband, teen hacker.
Oh yeah, gotta love a teen hacker. Possible. I mean, they have rollerblades now. It's the law. It's a teen hacker. They have to have rollerblades.
All right,
I was going to roll for a relationship with Lexi if
Yeah, go for it.
that was fair.
Three.
Validation. I crave Lexi's approval. See.
Yeah, I think everybody going for 2 each. I think is a solid.
Cheetah mom.
I'm gonna go one with Alexander because I don't think anyone has one with him yet. So 3. Also, I want your validation.
You know, let's see. I think Lexi and Alexander, both of you just have 1 now, right?
Yes,
Yep.
I have only 1 targeted at me so far.
Okay. Yeah, I'll target Alexander. That's difficult when you do that.
An attack has been directed.
2. This is contentious. Ooh, butted heads with this person lately, but managing to keep it cordial. See if you can reconcile, but make sure you're the one on the right.
Oh man. I wonder what we argued about. I guess our perspectives on daily grind are going to be relatively different considering the nature of how we work. I don't know whether Alexander is necessarily a fan about having to use assistive technology to fix their hands. It's important to them, but they're also kind of, vacillating between this is necessary and I hate this, which, there's probably I think a wayward comment about kind of like a robotic replacement which went down badly, and whether Alexander probably deep down feels sorry about that but refuses to admit it at the time being.
I would even imagine that 17 has probably had to replace several parts of their body before to the point where even just like replacing a specific finger feels very like whatever.
Blasé. Yeah.
So the idea of you're making this big deal of, oh, I need to replace part of me. Oh, the drama. It's like, oh, get over yourself.
Yeah, that's good. I like that. Nice. I need to forge a second one.
Well, I think Lexi only has 1 right now.
I think I'm supportive of Lexi. You're genuinely making the best out of a bad situation with this whole car you can't afford thing. And there's probably been requests that Alexander has helped you with before and tried not to think too much about the nature of those requests, but has tried to help.
Oh man, you're supporting me, and I really want your validation. And I want greater. Oh man, that's gonna be a fun dynamic. I think I'm gonna roll another one. This one I'm gonna do for 17. I think we don't have any others.
4.
Right,
Guilt.
4. Guilt. I've been a burden on 17.
Mm.
Oh no, it's the guilt circle.
Why would I have been a burden on 17?
17. I just can't stop buying all these leopard print clothes.
I wonder. I guess if depending on your fiction, the AI required to power an android and an AI that is subsisted without a body are two separate things. But a lot of people conflate the two, obviously, because they're both not human things. And I suppose harboring a tech, an illegal tech thing, was probably more likely to put 17 at risk than yourself, especially if they show up at the house.
Yeah, that's a good point. 17 would probably be immediately suspected as, at the very least, having something to do with it, and at worst, being like, well, 17 could already be harboring this thing. We've got to take them apart.
Okay. I'll see if I can dig into that a little more.
Yeah, I mean, if you prefer something else, it could be something that's just like a repetitive task that Lexi has needed 17 to do just repeatedly.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah. I'll see if I can think of something.
Cool.
Yeah, but I like that. Just a repetitive task.
All right. Okay, I think that's everybody. I think everybody has 2. Oh no, James doesn't have a second one.
I'm not sure which one to pick up on. Let's see.
I think we need one with Terry.
Yep.
So there isn't any attraction connections.
Ah.
Maybe there could be this weird one-sided romance, where it's you like me as a friend, and like you're constantly supporting my career, and I'm not sure like.
What does this
I don't
mean?
want to. Yeah, it's like.
That hurts.
Yeah, I think it's definitely important to note, like, the relationships are currently one-sided. It's how you feel about your roommate, right? So it doesn't necessarily mean that she is attracted back, but you want to see if you can the exact quote is, you think you may be developing feelings for this person for reasons that may be confusing you. See if you still end up feeling that way about it, and also how they feel about it. So
cool. Okay, I think that's a lot. Now we have the opportunity to go and do a little bit of world building-y bits and pieces. I guess a lot of that has kind of been included as we've kind of like discussed ourselves and where we are and everything. Is there anything else about the world that we would like to make canon before we start?
Yeah, so we have stuff like the city, the government, corporations, organizations, sensations, neighborhood. I feel like I should probably have a name for my crime syndicate. So probably something like the circuit. I'm gonna call them the circuit.
Yeah, I like that.
Maybe the name of that student, if it's going to be someone who recurs.
Now, do I do the classic trick of going and pulling a character name from something else I've run before to fill in this NPC?
What were you thinking?
It can't be Quinn Commandant. It's not allowed.
Tom's a good name.
Oh yeah. Oh gosh. Is it Tom? We can go with Tom. Sure. I forget Tom's surname. I always forget Tom's surname.
Pippin.
Pippin. Thank you.
Oh, poor Tom. Bit off more heat than he could chew.
Tom Pippin is going to be an NPC in Arcana Core as well, so it's all in the same universe now. Cool, excellent. This wayward student is Tom Pippin.
This is a good question. What can we see from our apartment's smoking perch? What's our vista?
Oh man, I think there is a skyscraper in the distance that would normally be too far away to see anything on it, but it just has this huge holographic screen that flashes all these different advertisements. So despite being so far away, we can still make out, buy Neo Coke today or whatever garbage it's trying to sell us.
You have to have like blinds on the windows and stuff so people can't.
It starts at 8 p.m.
Yeah.
I think we can see the sea from here, but it's almost a permanent slate roiling grey. We have not seen the sea under any nicer circumstances for maybe the last 2-3 years.
Okay, yeah. It's just like constant grey, stagnant.
It wasn't always this way, but recently it has just gone bad and has not gotten better.
I like that.
When one of us initially bought the apartment, it was actually a reasonable view, and it's just gotten shittier and shittier as time has passed.
So we're like a coastal city, island city. What do you?
I was thinking coastal.
I think coastal. I like the idea that maybe we see perhaps off to one side, not like the red light district, but like, because I imagine I live relatively close to the university I work at, so it's just like, you get the students who go there, and it's like the student nightlife, and you got like various random stuff that happens, and you can see it sort of over off to the side.
The cheap entertainment district, very separate from the expensive entertainment district.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's important, like, that gloss and clean is a look that you get from the skyline, despite the fact that on street level it's not that at all. Right?
There's a large industry in basically buying cleaning drones that can keep all buildings and stuff kind of squeaky clean. And if you kind of look out the window at, say, about like 3 a.m., that's usually peak cleanbot hours.
I feel like we might have a cheap one that necessitates keeping the windows closed, or else at best it's going to just be making some extra errant buzzing noises, but at worst there might be an errant squirt of like
it'll put suds and like very is acerbic the right word? Like cleaning fluid if you happen to leave the window ajar. So yeah, that'll damage upholstery. We need to keep that window closed.
That's gonna be our deposit right out.
Yeah.
Foreshadow the window the whole event. Or something horrible happens to it.
Nice. Is there any more for any more? I think if we're ready, I think I'd like to take a 5-minute drink and bio break, and then we can get into the fiction.
Sounds
Oh,
good.
there's one last thing I want to do quickly.
Oh yes, of course, please.
How old is Lexi, by the way? This is for like roommate relations.
I'm thinking maybe like mid-20s, probably. Let's say like 27, 28.
Because I'm figuring that like there should be some because I've got a validation relationship. I'm thinking that we should eat if we're let's see. If I'm going to be on the older side, you're either going to be a student or we'd be like childhood friends or one of the two. I'm not sure what would be more realistic.
I was an ex-student maybe that did a lot of challenging you in a way that maybe kind of like I could see being an ex-student that I wasn't necessarily the bad student, but I was definitely like a problem student for you that you were navigating, and now it's a cruel twist of fate that we live in the same apartment.
Yeah, and it's also like I'm glad to see you're on track.
But I'm not.
Well, I don't know that, but I'm glad to see that you're you got a car, you got a job.
Nice. So would James be on the older side then as well?
Yes, because if you're like let's see, a younger end for a teacher would be like 20s, so it'd probably be at least 10 years older than you. So like 30s, 40s kind of biz.
Yeah, I can
Which,
see
yeah,
that.
Alexander
Yeah,
is.
you're one of my-
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, you're one of my earlier students.
Alexander is definitely old. He's in the ballpark of like 48. Solid salt and pepper sideburns going on.
17 doesn't quite remember, but I think probably acts late 20s.
Cool. And I think you, Terry, is in the mid-30s, you said?
Yeah, so mid to late 30s. She probably doesn't ever like say her actual age, but I think she's like 37 or something.
Actual age is none of your goddamn business.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right. In that case, we can all get ourselves centered, get ourselves a drink, and we'll see what happens to these 5 roommates in lo-fi cigarettes after the break. Hello and welcome back, everybody, to the Neon Caster stream. We are playing the indie RPG Lo-Fi Cigarettes, written by Oscar, who has joined us in the studio today. On the previous side of this break, we were building our characters, but now is the time for the emotional drama. It's time to lay back, get ourselves a drink, get ourselves a not cigarette, and open ourselves up to sadness. Obviously, when we are going to be standing around talking about our feels, we need some rain. There we go. And then we also need some sad vibes.
I mean, we have 2 teachers here, so naturally we need some anime lo-fi hip-hop beats to study to.
I like the idea that the girl in those like lo-fi hip hop videos, she's studying for tests, and similarly in like the room next door, there's a teacher writing tests to lo-fi hip hop. But yes, shall we briefly go over the characters that we've generated? And then we can start an opening scene, I think. Let's go in reverse order of the pictures that we have. So let's start with 17.
Yes, 17 is android, they, them pronouns. They work as a data processor for a vague corporation that generally has them churning out and reformatting the marketing garbage. They had an unfortunate battery fault due to overexertion years ago, which wiped their memory, and so they're figuring out how much of that they want to piece together. They tend to be kind of pessimistic, maybe a little impatient, and even feeling given up in their worst points. And they have some lingering guilt about how they have interacted with Terry before, and they're quite contentious with Alexander. So we're going to be exploring some fun relationships.
Nice. James.
So, James Ortiz is a school teacher for a high school. He works special education, so he follows around some of the tougher students class to class. Now the school he's in is like here the public schools aren't very well funded, and the AI manager often determines who gets what funding. A lot of teachers often get promoted to the better private school, but here James Ortiz is a bit of he can be a little outspoken and passionate and naive, and he's been labeled as a bit of a troublemaker. So he's been in the school for a long time, and it's sort of a bit like stuck there. More recently, he's found out that one of his a student he had a connection with, Tom Pippin, had been arrested, which has been sort of putting shadow over his most recent his life recently. Uh, Terry, a professor from a nearby school, is supports him a lot in his work with students, and he's starting to develop feelings for her. Also, one of his roommates, Lexi, was a longtime ex-student, and he's glad to see that he's raised someone to be on the good path.
Nice. Terry.
So my character is Teresa Blackwell, though she is called Terry by literally everyone, and she will fight you if you don't call her that. And yeah, she is a philosophy professor of a local university or college, depending on like what kind of system we're playing here. And she's going through a bit of a confusing time at the moment. Lack of funding, confusion over herself and such. And she's quite supportive of James, because as far as she is concerned, like he's in a difficult situation, and she wants to help him as much as she can, while being almost completely oblivious of his feelings towards her, or at least like if she does know about them, she chooses to ignore them as sort of like, this is just his flight of fancy. I won't break it for him. And then for 17, she is avoidant, perhaps because he is a robot, or perhaps because there's some contention there over something that she perceives as like she has to avoid him. Or them, sorry.
It's okay.
Cool. Lexi.
Okay. So I am Lexi. I am a 27-year-old anthropomorphic cheetah. She, her. She is a driver who got her car via as a prize from the AI. What were we calling it? The
meritocracy AI.
Meritocracy AI, and then got taxed so hard on it that she couldn't afford it. So she became she decided to put it to use it to do driving stuff, help seniors and any needy citizen, anyone who like can't lift their bags or needs things delivered to them. But even then, the company that she drives through, doesn't pay her enough for legitimate noble service. So she ends up getting tapped by the crime syndicate, who has her do deliveries here and there. And she, on her just recent last delivery, got stuck with a piece of programming that I don't think she knows exactly what it does. She's paid to not ask questions. But yeah, I think she's holding onto a computer chip or something. And she's concerned that people are going to start coming after her, police / the circuit themselves, and anyone else who might want their hands on it. Her relationships are, she greatly appreciates any validation and approval that she can get from Alexander. Is guilty with 17, has burdened them with a task, some kind of repetitive task, which I still don't know what that's going to be, but we'll figure that one out. And then, and Ortiz. I think I called James Ortiz just Ortiz, like how high school kids do, like they just kind of call like the last name. So Ortiz is my former high school teacher. And
Nice. Yes, I am playing Alexander French, with this kind of voice here. I am actually an accomplished musician, or I was back in the day. But I had to take a day job that gave me heavy RSI, and I basically ruined my hands. I couldn't play piano anymore. I had to get cybernetics to replace him. But the only kind of music job I can get these days is being a pianist in a chintzy restaurant. The restaurant gig isn't going so well. Lately, I gently removed a customer from the premises, but having made physical contact, my manager, who is an AI by the way, is on my arse about it, so things aren't going so great. I'd like to think myself as somebody who's relatively careful and detail-oriented, especially when it comes to my hands, or when it did come to my hands. But to be honest, the pressure that I am getting from my daily grind at the moment means that I am occasionally prone to outbursts. I'm trying to handle it, but yeah. As far as my housemates go, they're alright. At the moment, I am kind of avoiding James, the kid that I threw out the restaurant. I'm pretty sure he goes to the school where James works at, and I don't really want to have that conversation at the moment, to be honest with you. It's been a rough day. On the other side of things, you know, I look out for Lexi. She's working really hard with this new kind of like Uber delivery driver gig that she's got going, and I want to see the success for her, you know. I think she's doing the best out of all of us. Whether that's true or not. And with that, I guess we are ready to start.
Wait, I think I figured out the repetitive task. Maybe I have 17 help me find and connect me to potentially more pickups and deliveries around the city that maybe the company isn't giving me access to.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, like get me connected before somebody else can hit up. Like, I'll take it. Yeah.
You have an insider connection to ads and the businesses, don't you? Wouldn't you?
God, you're right, yeah. Definitely have some access to some privileged industry tools, which would be so happy to never touch again for the rest of my life.
I think it's to set the scene a little bit. It is about 8 p.m. It's a late one. Currently, the lights to the living room of our apartment are off, and we just kind of hear the city sounds in the distance as the room is fully dimmed. Only the quiet sort of neon glow of a fish tank is the only other thing that illuminates the room. And then the lights flick on and somebody wanders inside. Who is the first person back to the apartment?
I'm gonna say it's probably gonna be Terry, just because like the way university professors kind of work day is that depending on the classes they have, it can obviously be a bit shorter or longer. So I think she's finished early, or maybe she took off a bit earlier than she should have. Rough day, and she flicks on the lights, walks inside, goes over to I imagine they set up like a couch or something, like maybe two couches across from each other at the end of this room, and there's like a glass door that faces outwards. They say it's got a balcony, but it's like one of those really just like
teeny tiny.
Yeah, just like literally you could step outside and that is literally it. And it's raining, so she decides not to do that, but she takes a cigarette out of her box, sort of forlorning the fact there's not many left. Flicks it on and starts taking a drag as she looks outside.
I guess I shall say out of character that largely I think this game is designed to be played in character for as long as possible unless we need to step outside of that. So I would like to put myself forward as the next person that comes in, but everybody else feel free to enter into the room and the conversation when you feel would be a dramatic time for you to enter. You take a drag of your cigarette, Terry, and look out over at the hazy neon ads of a skyscraper in the distance. It's selling some kind of disgusting energy drink. And from behind you, out of your field of vision, you hear oh, good evening. Sorry, shuffle over. I've had a terrible day.
Alexander.
Yeah.
Alright. Tough day.
Oh my god, you have no idea. You'd figure a job where you go and play top 40s bullshit would be a smooth ride, but it's everybody else. It's everybody else that makes the job hard. Can I get a light, by the way?
Oh, yeah, sure. She reaches over and again flicks on light for you.
Oh, shit, I needed that. How's your day been?
Let's see. What's the point between shit and shit?
Shit 2.0.
Let's just say it's not been a good day.
So what's it this time? Colleagues giving you nonsense, undergrads refusing to turn their paperwork in on time.
That's the ticket. Well, one of them decided that he hadn't been given enough time to complete his paper, and he wanted an extension. I tried to ask him why, and he seemed to keep just talking around the subject.
Yeah.
I could smell just a hint of a particular kind of substance, let's say.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling it's not out of genuine confusion.
No.
Of course, I gave him the time. I don't give a shit, but... Well... The department's going to be on my ass about it again.
It's wild how the failings of your students end up falling on you, like you control their lives. I also checked you're a researcher, not a puppeteer.
That's what you'd hope. You seen any of the other bozos around?
Actually, no. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be 17's turn at making dinner this evening, so I hope they get back soon.
I think as you're saying that, you turn around and you see 17 just like starting to open the door, seeing both of you, and just...
Oi.
Hey. It's their room.
Oh, I realise I'm taking up a bit of space, and Alexander's quite physically large, so he kind of like compresses himself and kind of lets you take his place.
Terry, while trying not to look so awkward, but it's pretty damn obvious she looks awkward, she gets off the couch and like moves closer to the window. She like leans on the lip between the window and the wall, and sort of takes up a position there.
So, how'd your day go, 70?
You know, trying to balance the parts of the job that I can get away with just not caring about because didn't think anyone else did. Well, the feeling of always having eyes on you, now getting people pretending that, oh man, they're really gonna care if you know, screw up some CSS and it breaks on some grandma's phone. They're gonna care. It's gonna come right back at you. I never had to deal with that kind of accountability before. Clearly, people sending code never had to either.
Fair enough. To be honest, most of the ads that try and hit my smartphone don't seem to work right these days. I wouldn't necessarily blame you. I just have good ad protection.
Yeah. I was gonna say that's a blessing. Be thankful.
What ads you been working on today? What's the current campaign? I'm interested. He leers, kind of leering smiles at you.
Oh man, 17 just turns to look at you with just this blank faceplate. Looks back. I'm trying to selectively wipe these memories.
Alright. I won't ask.
You know what they're getting into now. You know what they're getting into.
You're
not going to have to worry about this, but I am. I'm going to have to worry about this. Now they're experimenting with being able to just walk to a place, and anyone who has any kind of AR implants or is, you know, a robot is just going to have it just beam directly into their vision.
He sits back. Shit. I never even considered that. Yeah. No, one of the chefs at the restaurant is right eye, cybernetic one. Probably not for the best if ads come up while he's cutting up fugu, you know, detail work. Jesus, should probably let him know.
Still got the other eye.
So I'd say, if this is a good point, this is when James would just like burst into the apartment.
Because he literally just like slammed the door open.
Yeah, it's like, I'm having a drag. Can I bum a cigarette from somebody?
This is the third time this week, man. But oh wait, you got him. Offers one to you.
Funds are tight, you know. Thanks.
Isn't it for all of us?
You're sweating. Did you just run up the stairs, or is something troubling you?
Both. Really. I'm just so pissed. You see,
What happened?
I was trying to get around I wanted to collect some bail funds for Tom. Remember how I was talking about him yesterday? He's a good kid. I figured I could see if I could get a little bit from the other teachers. Well, I didn't get very far. They shut me right down. Said that wasn't a approved kind of thing for approved charity for teachers to be pushing.
Well, like a student-teacher relationship breach or something.
From student relationship breach. I mean, we're in it for them.
Good point.
I want you to look like you were supporting criminals.
Hold on.
But Tom is no criminal.
Yeah, you did mention him before. Is he like a 5'8", little stocky, bowl cut?
Yeah.
Oh.
Bushy hair.
Oh.
I guess you weren't there when I was like, when I saw the news. But he's a good kind of kid.
Yeah, I bet. And without elaborating, Alexander gets up and walks out of the room briefly. Without saying a word, he just gets up and leaves.
Terry looks like after Alexander as he leaves and sort of like, well, that's not suspicious at all. But then turns back to James and says, well, maybe you could appeal to them on more of a personal level, less teacher to teacher and more person to person. You're pretty good at talking to people. You could do that.
Yeah, but if I don't raise the cash, he's going to be stuck in the cell.
Did you try finding his parents?
Yeah, I did. A lot of the kids here, like, if you call their home, it just rings. Must be like auto detection. They see, call from school, think we're asking for money, or telling something bad.
I mean, you're asking for both those things, so I guess grand fucking victory.
Yeah.
I think at this point is when the door will open, and Lexi's like sopping wet from like having been in the rain. I imagine after having hidden her car somewhere that she wouldn't normally park it, and her demeanor is just kind of a little more agitated than you're used to seeing her, and she will she kind of slinks into the door, sees everybody, and says, "Oh, hi." Closes the door and says, "It's how is everybody?" And she's like slinking over the window, peeks out.
So I think 17 just gives a look like. What do you think?
Terry looks over and says, "Oh, Lexi, you look like a drowned rat, or I guess cat. makes more sense.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna change my clothes. I will be right back. It's a little bright in here. Do you think it's a little bright? I think we could probably just shut down some lights. Yeah?
Yeah,
The
sure.
neon is giving me a headache.
Yeah, that's good. Good. I'll be right out. And she's just like, lights off, goes into her room.
So, Terry again, like, is just trying to like think of the conversation because obviously, like James is focusing on the kid, and 17 is there, and again she doesn't know how to deal with them. So
your day go any better, Terry? Oh, sorry.
Students, deadlines, piece of shit. Wish I was that age again. Same old, same old. But I believe one of us is cooking tonight. It's not me. You're talking to the person who was popular in university for burning water.
Yeah, it's me. 17 gets up, and I think I've been trying to think about what 17 looks like smoking. Having that base plate even. I do kind of like the idea of them just having a cigarette and just burning it down between their fingers. I don't even know if they're smoke of it.
Yeah. What you making? What are you making, 17? As Alexander comes back in, moving past to the fridge, and pulls out. Well, no, you don't need to store booze in the fridge necessarily. But get some ice out of the freezer and like a bottle of whiskey, and starts pouring themselves a stiff drink. Sorry, I just needed to check on something.
Yeah. Just thinking chicken parm.
All right. You're a surprisingly good chef for somebody who don't have a tongue.
I mean, it's pretty straightforward stuff. You know, I don't really know how you mess this up. There's plenty of recipes out there.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people can mess it up. Your parm is much better than mine.
Yeah, well, interesting that AI can have more taste than a person, even if they are following a recipe.
These days, I find it's more about artistry, more about accuracy than artistry, at least in my line of work.
That's your job talking.
Ain't it just? I still don't get why they've decided to hire staff that are all humanoid or not synthetic. I'm not quite sure what the term I should be using is, but they go through the lengths of that, and then they make us follow every kind of recipe and instruction to the letter anyway. I have not played a jazz standard in months, and it pisses me off.
I'm trying to figure out how Caddy to make 17.
Make him catty do it.
Yeah. Oh, not played a jazz. Pat you on the shoulder. Really sorry, mate. That sounds hard.
I love 17.
Alexander doesn't pick up on it, isn't it though?
Yeah. Hey, do you want to hand me the sauce?
Absolutely. And he dutifully acts as sous chef to you as you prepare the palm. Lexi came in, right? I haven't seen her.
Yeah, Lexi steps in, I think, and she's got like her towel wrapped around her neck after having just like, so she's like all hairs on end, and she's like trying to like slick it all back and like put herself a little more back together, but she's out here anyway, and I think.
I think just as Lexi is stepping in, 17 says, "Oh yeah, Lexi's here, and she's got to take the intensity level way down. I can't handle that kind of energy right now." Not realizing that she definitely.
Yeah. I think if you did like kind of like all that take right? Where you like turn and you see her standing there with the towel. She kind of she's gonna take the towel, just kind of wipe it down her face and go, look, all right, I'm sorry.
Gee,
I'll.
I didn't know you were right there.
It's okay. No, I'm on edge, and you're very perceptive to pick that up. I'm gonna fix myself a coffee. Is it okay if I just work around everybody?
Yeah, you're good.
Anybody else want coffee?
No, I've got my energy recharge right here, he says, shaking the glass of whiskey.
Yeah, get me a cup.
You're gonna be jittering up till late. Sure you want to have something strong this close to the sunset?
Yeah, well, I'm gonna pull an all-nighter.
Oh, nice. Work turn up?
No. I'm just not sleepy.
Alexander's brow furrows. Is something wrong?
No. Everything's fine.
There's like a solid stare for like a second and a half.
That's about the least fine you could sound.
No, it's fine. I'm sure she's just going to need to, peruse through Lotus Notes 2 to try and, reticulate some splines or whatever.
I understood none of that, and I'm thankful for it.
What it means is that I'm probably not going to be able to spend any time defragging and wiping plenty of memories from today. So I can pay my debt as a roommate. Knife.
Relax.
Sorry, here you
go. We've got the chore wheel. It's like this is cooking food is no great sacrifice.
So, the kid, Tom,
Yeah.
was it? Well, how about you set up like a page or something?
Oh, yeah. Let's see. I remember I helped him. He sort of got busy with classwork towards right before he graduated, but he spent a lot of time with community at work. Like he did a bunch of gardening. I wonder if any of the old classmates would be up to like chipping $1 or two.
Takes more than $1 to get a teen out of jail these days.
Free.
Oh yeah, hold on.
But it adds up.
Was he was he a popular kid?
No.
No.
He was a bit of a loner. Always bounced with different groups but always had good at heart. I'm pretty sure like he was arrested for some gang related activity. But knowing him, it's just like being in the wrong place, the wrong time.
Good at heart, poor in pocket.
Tale as old as time, innit?
Yeah,
Gang
but
Sorry, just catch me up here. What gang are we talking about? Do you know?
let's see. The circuit.
Oh. Shit, alright.
So what's going on with that?
I don't know. I don't know really. It was pretty vague. They just did a bust up and took whoever was sitting around. That's what goes for investigation.
I mean, have you come across a circuit before? They a couple weeks back, the circuit. A couple weeks back, they booked out the entire venue, like every table. There was some serious cash thrown around to go do
Everything?
that. Yeah. No, we did nothing but serve overly skinny 20-somethings in expensive suits all evening.
Shit.
And they requested songs.
Oh, did you get to play your jazz standard?
If I if I have to go and play another, I don't know where to go with this. Hold on. Yeah, if I have to go and play another Neo Lady Gaga song again, I will just remove these new hands entirely. They're useless. All they do is put awful music into the world. Can't stand it.
You said they requested songs. That means that you played something outside of the usual top 40?
Oh, no. They just requested the same 3 songs over and over. They are apparently bangers.
Oh, so you could practically fall asleep while doing your job. Probably set things stuck on autopilot.
Kids at my school, they just find, like, some of them, they think the circuit is cool. Like, obviously, they had to put a rule on it. If you had any of, like, their logos, it sent you right back home, change. And some kids ignored that. Like, oh, I forgot. Now it's like...
Okay, so...
Yeah.
So don't get me wrong, because I'm out of the current gang lingo. What the hell did the circuit do? Drugs, violence, smuggling.
What I overheard was mostly entertainment district petty crime. You know, running bars, charging people way too much, trying to go and land new property. They probably cook the books, to be honest with you. Nobody wants to run a business in this town and do it legit.
Protection racket, too.
Prostitution also.
Prostitution. It's a big no-no.
Speaking of rackets, take a look at the Atom skyscraper over there.
You can crane over and look out the window.
Yeah, life insurance.
Like any of us could afford that shit.
They put a lot of money to try to convince us their lives of value.
I think at this point, Lexi finishes her coffee, right, and she maybe like trips over a little bit, and like something kind of falls out of her jacket pocket.
Mm-hmm.
And she like just scoops up this, like, if anybody got a glimpse of it, right, it's the glimpse of the computer chip, right, and she just like grabs it, pockets it.
Oh, you got a new Game Boy?
Yeah, sure.
That was a terrible lie, Lexi.
Like, don't worry about it. Just don't worry about it.
Oh, I'm not worried. Who's worried?
Come on, Lexi. Even you could trust us.
No, you can't.
Definitely can't. But
Hey. If one of us is going to come home running, sweating, turning all the lights off, and is going to be really cagey about the stuff that they've got on, and clearly something's up, and I don't want you to feel like you're in danger here. You live here.
Yeah, I mean, you're not in danger here, because I live here too. So I'd prefer not to have any of the police around here if possible.
That's not what I mean. That's not what I mean. I mean, while we're going to be living here, we're looking out for each other.
That's what I mean.
Listen, if it's something stupid, I'm probably going to make fun of you for it, but I'm not going to, like, hurt you or tell anything like that.
No, just it's probably nothing. So, as long as we're just, keep quiet generally, I think we'll be fine, maybe. Look, the circuit, I was there when they if it's the same thing, I was there when they, I guess, picked up Tom and a bunch of other people.
What, they call a taxi? I mean, if you're just a driver, there's nothing, like a taxi driver, there's nothing they can say about you. I mean, it's your job.
Right, yeah, no, when it got broken up, I was there, and I was supposed to... I'm telling you all this so that we can all fucking get our stories straight in case anybody shows up here. And I really, really, really hope none of you fucking sell me out here.
Alexander slowly puts his cigarette out in an ashtray on the kitchen table. What the fuck did you do?
I didn't do anything, technically. Look, you all know this like Neo Uber is not panning out, really. It's not making me the money that I need.
But there's all these old people who need your help, and all these people.
Old people don't tip.
That's true.
Anything that I do make, the companies scoop up. Apparently, I don't merit anything beyond the car that I got taxed for. So,
Company benefits, commission. Fucking hate it.
what are those? Look, I run a couple of bonus deliveries on my spare time. And before I was able to make that delivery, shit went down. All of those people got arrested. I wasn't able to make the delivery.
Is this what I've been calculating for you? Is this the stuff that if I don't help you with, you're not gonna be able to pay your rent every week? Gotta be piecing these different pathways together. Is that what this is?
Look, you've been invaluable, 17. Honestly, like you've connected me so that I break even. I need you just so that I can break even. So like,
I know you need me. That's not what I'm asking you. I'm asking you, am I helping you do these bonus runs or not?
No. I try to just not have to do those runs, okay?
So Lexi's a bit of a wildcat. You knew.
Seriously?
Look, I live with a leopard person. I have all the rights in the world to make cat puns whenever I like.
Yeah, it's fine. I have a cat friend.
Look,
it's not
Okay,
about...
I didn't mean it that way. It's a friendly thing. Come on, I don't do the friend thing great. So it's what all the kids do. They take shit and they make fun of their friends. That's how I do it.
Listen, this thing's about to boil over. I gotta put the chicken in.
So he wasn't alone, huh?
Anyway.
Yeah. And that Alexander addresses James. He wasn't alone.
Tom?
Yeah.
Yeah, they got a handful of people.
Huh.
Circuit was sent running. Let's see. Do we still have the newspaper? Or is it already sent out to recycling? Wait, who's doing recycling?
Oh, it'd be me. Hold on. And go.
Alexander, for once, I'm glad you forgot to do your job. Let's see. Yesterday's newspapers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a whole bunch.
Oh my! It wasn't. Shit. God. So, I was having a conversation with Terry earlier when I got back from work about how I was having a bit of a rough day. Yesterday, relatively early on, actually like 1-2 p.m, kid came in, acting like he was top of the world, throwing down cred sticks just on the table, like that's how we pay. That's how you pay for things. And he started getting real sneery with one of the other customers, so I was like, gonna have to ask you to leave. And then he told me to go fuck myself, and I was like, well, that's a really logistically difficult thing to do. And then he tried to take a swing at me, so I picked him up and put him very gently outside. Only thing is, not allowed to touch the customers under any circumstances, apparently. I took a read of the handbook after me being reprimanded, right? Turns out, if they pull a knife on you, then the priority is to make sure that none of the other customers are injured, and you'll get back pay if you're injured. If it works
Throw
out
yourself
that
on
way.
the bomb. Great.
Wait, what are you getting at, Alexander?
That's bullshit.
Yeah. I'm a pianist, not a bodyguard, even if I look like this. The kid that I threw out, spitting image of this guy, tapping the newspaper at Tom's face.
Wait, you're sure you're not pointing at the wrong guy?
I hope I fucking got the wrong guy. I hope I'm just blind. I hope I need to replace my fucking eyes as well as my hands, and I just got it wrong.
Small goddamn world.
James, you know Alexander's got a good memory for names and faces. If it's the guy, it's the guy.
And plus, what else was he supposed to do?
Right, Terry.
Fuck the handbook.
Well, if I didn't throw him out, if I just let him be a pompous piece of shit, then eventually he'd get tired, leave, and maybe not run around with some other fuckers. You know? Did I just like inadvertently put some kid in a holding cell? Because it sounds fucking look like I put a kid in a holding cell accidentally.
Not your fault.
Butterfly effect.
Things
Or some other bullshit.
clearly things happen.
Do we have any boxed wine left?
Fuck man, I
Boxed
don't know,
what?
help yourself. Alexander moves away from the kind of I kind of picture the kitchen being open plan to the rest of the living room, like it's a kitchenette kind of deal.
Yeah.
And he makes his way out into the living room space again, and there's a small piano that he spent a large amount of money to get installed. It's nothing fancy. It's not even, there aren't even strings inside. It's entirely synthetic, but the tone that it produces is pretty authentic. And losing words to say, he sits down and starts to play the piano instead, and just kind of sits there for a while, not talking.
Terry smiles a little bit and says, "Play some Neo Lady Gaga."
I'll let him play a jazz standard.
Alright, Moon River.
He doesn't answer. He just plays at the piano.
Okay, so it sounds like 3 of you were part of this whole conspiracy with this Tom kid. But none of you are responsible for the situation you got himself in.
I mean, I did all I could for Tom. Like, he was having trouble reading, but he was willing to stay after a bit, and I'd help him with books.
Yeah, you did stuff for him. That's pretty good. I mean, hell, I'm not the best teacher in the world, but then again, neither were mine. So, you teach like you were taught.
Yeah. Oh,
There's no accounting for taste.
I like your advice, Terry. Wait, would you like a drink too?
Yeah, sure, if you're pouring one.
Yeah. We might have to see. So pouring out the remainder of the boxed wine, like splitting between us. We ain't got much left, so.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm the one that drinks the most of it anyway, so I might as well replace some of it.
Yeah, I hate the fact that I need to finish cooking this before I can join y'all. I would like nothing more than to undervolve my brain right now to catch up.
I think Lexi is like jamming out, and she'll go. She'll basically just kind of do like yes, Alexander. Play. This is so good.
You sound like a drag queen.
Sounds
Seven-
Lady Gaga.
17, do you need any help cooking? Because I could really take my mind off of some stuff right now.
No, I think I've got it at this point. Just kind of waiting for things to boil. A little bit of chopping to do, but I
So,
want to let Alexander help me with that, just to maybe prove a point. But I'll let him finish.
so here's the thing, Lexi. You said something about not being able to deliver this particular package. What is it? I'm curious. Call it a philosophical question. What's in the box?
It's honestly, I don't even really know what it is. She just kind of like slips it out of her pocket and sets it down on the counter. And it's a computer chip, maybe about that big.
Right, yeah.
So James straightens up. Walking over to Lexi, you could see that he's put on a bit of his what's the word for it? Teacher face. Like, Lexi, can you tell us exactly what got you that chip? Do you remember who gave it to you? Do you remember if they said anything about it?
I don't need your lecture, Ortiz. Just know it's with me now. And I need to get rid of it.
Please, Lexi, we're all in this now.
I'm not.
Yeah,
Alexander shuts the cover on the keys and is, after having stared at the ceiling for a couple seconds with this conversation going on in the background. Yeah, you genuinely have no idea. You genuinely have no idea what this thing is.
No, I'm paid to not ask questions. Okay. Circuit wanted me to deliver it to some group of, I don't know, whiz kids hiding out in a basement somewhere, and then that's what got cracked down.
Well, mechanics I can do. Computers, not so much. I couldn't really tell you what the thing is. I hate to ask you, 17.
I am not touching it.
Okay then. All right. There we go. That's my
the
answer.
signature of that thing on me, and it is illegal. Yeah, that's it.
No. 17, I don't want anything. I don't want you to. You already do enough for me. You don't need to do this. And I don't want you to. We don't need to know what it is.
So take this as a pure hypothetical. Did the circuit know that you were there and failed to give it at the last hurdle? Or
They
did he
must.
think... Did he care?
Look, the circuit communicates, via electronic means. I've never met a single person in the circuit in my life.
Okay, so
It's
if
nothing.
that particular...
So I do a lot of, it was a dead drop. I was supposed to pick it up, deliver it, drop it off.
Okay, so do they know you still have it?
They know it wasn't delivered, so they must assume I have it.
Or they could assume that it was destroyed in the raid. I'm saying it could be as simple as she points out the window to the outside. Throw it into the ether. Could be. Again, I'm not involved in this.
I could get blamed for it. You know what I mean? Like this is under my. It was under my care, right? It was time stamped basically as me picking it up, and now I don't. It has not been. I can't just. I don't know how valuable this thing even is. I don't know what it's for. It's just. I'm really just waiting for the other shoe to drop at this point.
There really has to be something else I can do here.
I have no idea if the cops saw my license plate, just like drove out of the way. I don't know.
Okay, think. Okay. So, I guess, with Tom being part of this group, it would be plausible for him to be the recipient or affiliated to the recipients of the goods, right?
That's what I'm thinking.
And,
you said he was at your bar in the middle of a circuit event?
Well, you know, I didn't see him at that, weirdly enough, so I guess he got employed after the fact, but considering I saw him promptly before he was arrested, and sometimes customers are one to leave their personal effects behind, you know, in Lost and Found. And then sometimes they come back and claim them. Sometimes not so much.
So what are you saying exactly?
I go and take whatever this is off your hands. If they ask you, you say you gave it to the guy. They go to him and he doesn't have it. And then, if they follow their traces back, look, it's in our restaurant's Lost and Found. Safe and sound. Unless one of like the sous chefs goes and takes it home or whatever, but then it's his problem and not ours.
And you're willing to put yourself, or at least something on that list. If these guys are electronic, they could, if they wanted to, try and trace it back. Comes back to all of us. It's a shit idea.
Well, if it's here and they're tracing it, then it's got to be here. So if we do nothing, then we're done anyway, right?
Touche.
Look, maybe. I mean, maybe he's onto something, right? And maybe we could, maybe we have an opportunity here of just being able to sell it off, at least, pay some rent.
Ding, 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 ding.
Hey,
Also,
Fox.
shit idea.
Lexi.
Unless you got a contacts.
No. Lexi might be right. If she can sell that off, turn a profit on that. Listen, I'm not just saying this because I don't want to be doing as much pathfinding for you.
Yeah.
But it clearly takes a toll on you, and it would, make life easier for both of us.
So
We don't know what this is. Like, what if this is like, locations of millions of drugs, and that we get put, and then like, and if we sell it to the wrong people,
I agree with Jay.
we're making ourselves part of it.
What if it's location of 1 million of lost orphans? We don't know what it is. It could be anything.
We could know what it is. And she looks at 17.
Okay, no, I drew a hard line there. If I touch that thing, my signature gets on there in any form possible. Y'all can get away with this stuff. Plug in, something like that into a computer that doesn't have your name attached to it, that doesn't have, a GPS signature that they can track back to you. Do you know how boned I am if I just say, why don't we find out? And then the circuit or the cops, I don't know which is worse, come hunting me down because I touched the, codes to the nuclear football.
And so here's the thing. The circuit deal in protection rackets and various other bits of business. We sell that thing, we officially become a competitor. And what do you think businesses do to competitors? And she takes like a new cigarette that she was holding and like bends it in half between two fingers.
17 looks at the life insurance ad in the distance.
I was going to helpfully suggest that they might try to do business partnerships or mergers, but to be honest, I wouldn't be too interested. Shit, okay, so what you're saying is that we need a computer that we're not tied to go and scan this thing. Is that it? Is that all we need? Because I can just go and talk to, like, a neighbour and be really, charming.
I think maybe like as 17 is looking at the life insurance, maybe something else like his rack focuses and you just hear the of a little cleaning drone. Like,
oh shit, the window's open. And Alexander goes to start to try and shut the window.
Terry just like sighs and helps you close it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, not suspicious at all. God, we always suck at this.
What about the cleaning drone?
Oh.
The
Oh.
cleaning.
Oh.
Cleaning.
You.
Oh shit.
Lexi, mad dash for the cleaning drone, trying to like just snatch it in.
Careful, if you get any of the cleaning fluid on the furniture, it will definitely stain.
Oh yeah, no.
You know what a long shot it is? That might like the lamp has just as good a chance of being able to read this thing. But you know, I go for it. I would.
We already have like the internal panel of the thing off, and it's on its back, just wearing its little
probably-
cleaning legs in the air.
I imagine though it has like some kind of security feature, so it probably like starts shocking me, and I'm like, jeez.
Lexi, that's even more suspicious. We're screwing around with drones.
Well, we already screwed around with it, so
We don't own it. We don't own it. These things break all the time.
Terry like leans down, says, "Okay, kids, I'm gonna teach you 101 how to break shit." And she takes off like a heel that she probably wears when she's like teaching, and she turns it so that she's holding like the foot bit and the heel bits like brandished like a dagger. And she just bashes.
The camera changes to the kind of like internal security camera of the cleaning drone, and it's kind of in black and white with big scan lines on it, and it's trying to detect faces, and just as it tries to narrow in on somebody, the heel just comes in from off frame, and the camera like breaks and goes into static as Terry wrecks its visual sensors.
Terry like goes to town this thing, and you think she goes like a bit harder than she necessarily should be. Like the glass panel where this camera was is just shattering in various pieces, and then she sort of sighs and throws the heel away and like goes to her hair and like takes off the various like bits of elastic and shit that are holding in place. Okay, we're criminals now. Great.
Alexander pulls himself another glass of whiskey. Sure as shit. Glad that you don't wear Louboutins, huh?
17. Can you wipe this one?
Before we get the chip in, yeah. Once the chip goes in, I'm not touching this thing again.
You're doing us all a favor.
And
myself included.
Hey, James, think about it this way. If we sell this thing on, we can buy all of ourselves life insurance policies, and we can probably bail that kid. If he's as good as you say.
You're right, Terry. I mean, I sure as heck enjoy getting the donation funds from other teachers. Couldn't even get them to carpool their day of the week to the bar.
I think the tone has changed a little bit. I think the music
It changed a lot.
I think we're reaching a conclusion here, so let's go and get some nice conclusion music going.
Yeah, I like the idea that you guys finish out of character, you guys finish your stuff first, and then I'll say something as Terry.
Okay, so once we go in, I guess there's some bleep bloops and some time passes as we work out exactly what is on this chip. And there's just a shot of all of us around the dinner table, chicken palm quickly going cold as we stare at each other being like, it does that? I can't believe it does that!
Holy shit.
Oh my god. I mean, what I could do to my manager with that alone.
What I could do for the whole school.
What I could do for me.
What I could do to the marketing department.
So, 17, and Alexander leaning hard on the table, tie almost falling into chicken palm. Would it be possible to copy the source code with the names filed off? Because we can give this thing away, but now that we know what it does...
Yeah. Listen, I don't know how many registry permissions this thing involves. If I get this source, you gotta understand, like, this is a whole new caliber. This isn't just, oh, I'm gonna get roughed up by the mob or roughed up by the cops. This is gonna get put away.
We could disappear.
Answer the question, 17. Can you do it or not?
Wait, what do you mean we can disappear?
Like, that's what I mean. If this goes south, we could just end up. Which... fuck, I don't know. Sometimes I think about if I disappeared, nothing would really change, but... Is it worth
Nothing
risking
would.
it all? Is it worth risking it all on this? If this goes right, then this changes all our lives.
I mean, it's changing all of our lives one way or another. Whether that's going to be, you guys having a better schooling experience at the workforce and not getting a car tax dropped in your lap, or whether that's all of us getting locked up and me getting decommissioned, refurbished.
We're gonna feel like there's somebody looking all over our shoulder, looking at us from behind us. If we do that, though.
What changes?
I agree. Nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Right.
I mean, I thought I was making a difference just working here, but, well, I guess not. Yeah.
If we're doing this as a household, we should do this like we solve all arguments as a household with a vote. So
No, wait, hold on. You don't understand. None of you are robots. You can disappear. You can take a new name. You can take a new life. You can wipe all of your...
Oh, when I say disappear, I don't mean disappear as me making a super secret spy alias and vanishing to Nicaragua. I mean other people making us disappear if this goes south. I recognize that if this fucks up, then we're done. Meat or otherwise. But if we do nothing, then we're already complicit. So I say we can get this into somebody else's hands. They can receive this chip that will absolutely shake up this meritocracy AI system that we're under, and then get dicked over anyway. And we can give it to him, and then have the resources to maybe do something else with our lives.
If the circuit wants this, they're only going to want it for their own profit.
Yeah, but are they gonna give a damn if some small school can suddenly have better screens for the students?
I agree with Alexander here. We do this like we do anything else. 3, 2, 1.
Aye.
Vote. Aye.
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 Hey. Full agreement. Fucking miracle.
And I think there is a shot outside of the sky, outside of our office block, looking at it as the neon lights of the area underneath illuminate as it moves into about like 10-11 p.m. and people start to party. And there is a small kind of like glittering spark of something falling out of a balcony window and descending into the night as we clone this thing and throw the evidence out of the window. And
To be continued.
I think that has been Lo-Fi Cigarettes. Snaps.
I love how the tone of that was just like so different.
I don't know. I don't think I'm capable of a depressing ending.
Well, I mean, it doesn't have to necessarily be depressing.
No.
There's always the possibility of, you can always pick this up at any time and then be like, where do you go from here? And then kind of seeing like, what is it that we're capable of? And I think that, I don't know. I still really like the tone. I mean, it was more hopeful than normal, but at the same time, not really, right?
No, I mean the to be continued could go in all sorts of dangerous and life-threatening places that aren't happening on camera. So,
I like how the conventional game to me is like meant to be this introspective kind of look, and then it's to become the start of a like sci-fi thriller with an unconventional cast.
But I mean,
I love that.
I think it feels in tone because the end is like, oh man, we're putting our lives on the line to make this wage manager slightly more equitable.
Yeah, it's like low yet high stakes thing. Yeah, I like the tone. It's very cool.
I'm cognizant that Amy has to vanish a little earlier than everybody else. So shall we go into a thing that Will does with all his stuff and I do too because it's a cool idea, is kudos and comments, where we each highlight one cool thing that another player did that you were like, oh no, I loved that. And then we can let Amy vanish if she needs to. And then we can kind of do wrapping up. And then we'll vanish off into the ether for another session at 11 p.m. Or 11 p.m. BST, 6 p.m. EDT. But yes, kudos. Would anybody like to go first in terms of giving kudos to somebody?
Ooh, I would like to give kudos to the chi of the group, Lexi, because I think I appreciate the fact that Lexi definitely brought a very different energy from the rest of the group in terms of everyone being kind of like, everyone felt distinct, but Lexi was the only one that wasn't like actively dour. It was a different flavor of miserable, and I appreciate that. It brought a good diversity of energy. Also did feel, genuine cheetah, anxious as hell.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, really, ultimately, Lexi was like the inciting incident for the story, I guess. Well, plus Tom, I think Tom was like the background leading up to like, here's the, no, I really like that a lot. For me, that piano solo, hell yeah.
That was good.
In the break, I was like, oh no, I can do this. I have control over the music bot.
Yeah.
So, for kudos, I also want to give it to Nathan for the amazing world building.
Oh,
that was
like
good.
the events happening at your club, what Tom was doing leading up to it. Just like strong musicians made it a snap that really like they set the tone of the story and gave like me stuff to build off of, and
oh, thank you.
It was exquisite.
Improv games are hard, yo. I don't know. I love improv games so much, but all of it is kind of like, oh man, focusing big brain energy on making this all make sense. But I'm glad it all comes out smooth like butter the other side. I'm glad. Thank you.
I really like 17 sort of like, because when you're playing a robot, you're like, oh, it's going to be a very certain like kind of thing. But no, like he was the most actively, probably intelligent out of all of us. Like we're all sort of dumbasses in our own way, and he's just like, guys.
All while cooking a chicken parm.
If we didn't have that time skip, actually right before the time skip, I kind of wanted to slip in, shit, the chicken. So thank you. I appreciate that. 17 was really fun to play.
I definitely want to give kudos to Amy. Terry is such an asshole.
Yeah, no, is not a good, well, she's not like a bad person, but she's certainly not like an approachable, friendly person.
And that's really hard to do, you know. Sometimes it's quite hard to stab that knife edge between a character who's a dick, but also a character that we like, kind of because they're a dick. And you did that really, really well. I really like Terry's character. I think that's everybody. I think everybody is given kudos. So, actually, I think
we gotta give kudos to James Ortiz, man.
Oh,
hey. I liked how subtly you played the attraction angle from the background. Like, it wasn't, because like my thing with 17 was like I was ignoring 17 through basically the entire conversation except that very last bit. But you played the like the audience could probably see like, oh yeah, he's probably got something for Terry, but Terry was just like,
who?
No.
What? I don't see it. Gosh.
How did everyone feel about their like the relationships that we established at the beginning? Like that really like informs interactions, right?
I think it helps. It's the thing with an improv game where it like it's a base to build on, and like with any RPG, you know, it will change as you guys fix upon more what characteristics you want to deal with in a character. But I think it did help like build, you know, it gave us starting relations to deal with.
No, definitely.
Yeah.
Avoidant is a little harder to work in as an ongoing. I kind of took avoiding James initially until the plot beat required me to kind of like cough up my guts on why I was avoiding, and then that kind of like. But no, while I don't think I necessarily lent into any of those pre-established relationships super hard, it did color a lot of the ways that I took those approaches. So yeah, no, they're really good like springboard points for getting into the RP.
Yeah, like so for example, for me, I know that I was like really agreeing with basically as much as I could of Alexander's like suggestions because I wanted his approval, while also trying to like stop 17 from like, no, you don't have to help me with this chip, stop. Yeah. And it created like its own dynamic.
No,
I actually ended up kind of wanting to do more with it. I really wanted to have a scene with Alexander where we kind of got to explore the contentious bit a bit more as like I was thinking, oh, okay, we're gonna have this bit where, you know, we're preparing chicken parm, I'm getting him to chop something, and I'm like, oh hey, you have that firmware, why don't you just set the setting to that? Look, your hands are basically doing it for you. See, isn't it kind of nice? Doesn't have its upside. But
yeah, I noticed those bits and pieces came across in bits. Alexander like, might as well replace my eyes as well. Oh god, it's so hard. And 17's like, shut up, just stop.
Yeah, this is definitely a game I think that, you know, if you when you get more even further time to just like really go in and play it, right, like a lot of these dynamics can come through even more so. But either way, it doesn't necessarily, I feel like a lot of relationships either way changed during this conversation. It's just very subtle changes as opposed to overt, and I think that that's okay, right?
No, okay,
Yeah, I think so.
And I think it's also better to have relationships where you wanted to see a little bit more of it than relationships that are simple enough where you kind of do the bit and you're like, I don't know what to do with the rest of the time of this. So I think it works.
Okay, just to wrap things up and to make sure that Amy can get to her other commitment on time, let's go and self-promote. Absolutely. Oz, thank you for writing this cool-ass game that we got to play.
That was amazing.
What other cool-ass things do you do?
Mainly, you can see me on Shadowcasters Network. I help do a lot of streaming of different tabletop RPGs there. So check us out on YouTube, Shadowcasters Network. Twitch, we've decided to leave Twitch.
Ooh,
that's
okay.
That's a thing. Yeah, so YouTube is where we're gonna find all of our content from now on, and you can also follow us on Twitter, SRCasters, and you can follow me at OZZKORE, Ozcore. and that's where you can see. I will release any information I can on Lo-Fi Cigarettes once we have it out to the public and where you can get it for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Will?
Yes. Well, you can find me on Twitter at Raffy the Owl. You can find my games at merrymancergames.com. That's Manther as in necromancer. And as I said earlier, I just released 2 new games just a day or 2 ago, including New Connections, a small world-building game that helps one or multiple people make a setting that feels nice and interconnected. So check it out. It's a fun time.
Absolutely. Joe and Amy, is there anything that you guys would like to promote?
Unfortunately, not for me, because I have a very limited online presence, huzzah. But yeah, I mean, always happy to come back on Phantom Arts and perhaps reach out to other networks and just do cool things, meet cool people. Apart from that, I hope the audience just enjoys listening to our antics.
Yeah, man, this session was sick. Any promo you'd like to do, Joe?
Yeah, I don't have anything to promote.
Okay.
Thank you for having me here.
No, absolutely. I, once again, have been your androgynous android game show host from the future, Nathan Blades. I run this channel as well as the Phantom Arts ENT on Twitter. If you would like to support this network so we can do more cool stuff like this and commission art and pay for like Roll20 Pro subscriptions, I have a Patreon, patreon.com/Phantom Arts ENT, which I didn't queue up the link for in advance, but I will do now. I'm a professional. But yes, I, especially under current circumstances, thank you for supporting some queer black art. I don't know, as a black creative, there seems to be this kind of weird additional pressure to step up my game in these kind of times. A lot of the work that I do, a lot of the stuff that I make is about resistance and finding joy in a world that's hostile. And I hope that if you've tuned into this, it's brought you a little bit of joy, even though I guess the topic matter is like grim as fuck, but you can find joy in grim things occasionally. We goth, it's fine. But in addition, under current circumstances, even though this isn't necessarily inherently a charity stream, if supporting black artists and black creatives and just, you know, people of color fighting the power in general is something that sounds cool as shit to you, then well, you've already done it for me. Thanks. Good job. I'll post the link again because it's important. Go donate some money and help activists fight against the system that we're in. Fucking be gay, do crime, ACAB, fight the power.
And look after yourself.
Absolutely. Also look after yourself. Your mental health is incredibly important in times like these. Jesus Christ. Hopefully, we might see some of you later on today at 11 p.m. BST, 6 p.m. EDT. There will be an RPG that I've designed, a Wandering Spark, which is designed to be a Shinichiro Watanabe simulator. So it channels shit like Cowboy Bebop and Samurai Champloo and Carol and Tuesday into a journey of an android and an engineer wandering from town to town, finding a hidden yearning. Will be on that as well. We will have a special guest, Wheels, from Very Random Encounter and Got It Memorized. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you then. But for now, goodbye. This has been Record Collection.